Have you ever wondered what it takes to become a true hero of faith? What if I told you that hidden in the pages of the Bible, there's a warrior so fierce, so courageous, that even lions trembled at his name? This isn't a tall tale, my friends. This is the story of Benaiah, David's mighty man, and the secret behind his incredible strength. You've probably heard of David and Goliath, but Benaiah, he's the unsung hero whose exploits will leave you breathless. Imagine facing a lion in a pit on a snowy day, or taking on a giant Egyptian with nothing but a staff. Sounds impossible, right? Well, Benaiah did just that and more. But here's the kicker. Benaiah's true strength wasn't in his muscles or his combat skills. No, there was something deeper, something most people miss when they read his story. A secret that turned an ordinary man into one of the most feared soldiers in biblical history. In the next few minutes, we're going to unravel this mystery together. We'll explore Benaiah's jaw-dropping feats, his unwavering loyalty, and most importantly, the hidden source of his courage that you can apply to your own life today. So are you ready to discover the secret that made Benaiah unstoppable? Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll see your own challenges in a whole new light. Let's begin this incredible journey into one of the Bible's most thrilling, yet overlooked stories. Now let's talk about what made Benaiah stand out among David's mighty men. This guy wasn't just your average soldier, he was a force of nature. The Bible doesn't waste words, so when it dedicates space to describe someone's exploits, you know they're worth paying attention to. First off, Benaiah was the son of Jehoiada, a valiant fighter from Kabzeel, but he didn't ride on his father's coattails. No, Benaiah carved out his own legend. In 2 Samuel 23:20, we read that he struck down 2 of Moab's best men. Think about that for a second. Not 1, but 2 elite warriors. This wasn't just luck, it was skill, courage, and something more. But Benaiah was just getting started. The Bible tells us he also went down into a pit on a snowy day and killed a lion. Now let that sink in. A lion in a pit on a snowy day. Most of us would have a hard time just staying on our feet in those conditions, let alone facing down a ferocious predator. But Benaiah, he saw a challenge and didn't back down. And if you think that's impressive, wait till you hear this. Benaiah also took on a giant Egyptian. This wasn't just any soldier. This was a man of great stature armed with a spear. But Benaiah, he went against him with just a staff. Talk about bringing a stick to a spear fight. Yet somehow, he managed to snatch the spear from the Egyptian's hand and kill him with his own weapon. These feats aren't just impressive, they're nearly superhuman. But here's the thing, Benaiah wasn't superhuman. He was a man, just like you and me. So what gave him the ability to do these incredible things? What was the secret behind his courage and strength? As we continue to unpack Benaiah's story, keep these feats in mind, because they're not just tales of bravery, they're clues to understanding the secret that made Benaiah one of the most formidable warriors in biblical history. Picture this. It's a cold, snowy day, the kind of day where you'd rather be inside, wrapped in a warm blanket, but not Benaiah. On this treacherous day, he finds himself face to face with one of nature's most fearsome predators, a lion. Now let's pause for a moment and really consider what's happening here. Lions are apex predators. They're strong, they're fast, and they're incredibly dangerous. Even in perfect conditions, facing a lion is a death sentence for most people. But Benaiah, he's not just facing this lion on level ground. No, he's in a pit with it. The Bible doesn't give us all the details, but imagine the scene, the narrow confines of the pit. The slippery, snow-covered ground, the hot breath of the lion, visible in the cold air, the tension is palpable. One wrong move, and it's over. But here's where it gets truly remarkable. Benaiah doesn't run, he doesn't cower, he doesn't even hesitate. Instead, he goes on the offensive, he strikes down the lion and kills it. This encounter speaks volumes about Benaiah's character. It shows his courage, sure, but it's more than that. It demonstrates his quick thinking, his ability to stay calm under pressure, and his willingness to face overwhelming odds. There's a spiritual lesson here too. In 1 Peter 5:8, we're warned that our adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Benaiah's encounter with the literal lion serves as a powerful metaphor for our spiritual battles. But here's the million-dollar question. What gave Benaiah the courage to face this lion? What was the source of his strength and fearlessness? As we continue to unravel Benaiah's story, keep this incredible feat in mind, because it's not just about physical prowess. It's a clue to understanding the secret that made Benaiah truly extraordinary. Now, if you thought facing a lion in the pit was impressive, wait until you hear about Benaiah's showdown with the Egyptian giant. This encounter is like David and Goliath 2.0, but with a twist that'll make your jaw drop. Picture this. Benaiah comes face to face with an Egyptian warrior, but this isn't just any soldier. The Bible describes him as a man of great stature. We're talking about a giant here, folks, and he's armed with a spear that the scriptures say was like a weaver's beam. That's not just big, that's massive. So we've got David's mighty man squaring off against this towering Egyptian. It's a classic underdog scenario, but here's where it gets interesting. Benaiah doesn't have a sword, he doesn't have a spear, all he's got is a staff. Talk about bringing a stick to a giant fight. Now, most of us would look at this situation and think, no way, this is impossible. But not Benaiah. He sees this giant, this impossible odds, and he doesn't back down. Instead, he goes on the offensive. In a move that defies all logic and military strategy, Benaiah charges at the Egyptian. He doesn't just dodge the spear or try to defend himself. No, he goes straight for the Egyptian's weapon. With a level of skill and bravery that's hard to fathom, Benaiah manages to wrench the spear from the giant's hand. And then, in a twist that no one saw coming, he uses the Egyptian's own weapon against him. Talk about turning the tables. This encounter isn't just about physical strength or combat skills. It's about faith, courage, and the ability to see beyond what seems possible. Benaiah didn't just overcome a physical giant that day. He conquered the giant of fear and impossibility. There's a powerful lesson here for all of us. How often do we face our own giants? Problems that seem insurmountable, challenges that appear too big to handle. Benaiah's story reminds us that with the right mindset and the right source of strength, even the biggest giants can fall. But the question remains, what gave Benaiah this incredible courage? What was the secret that allowed him to face these impossible odds without flinching? As we continue to unpack Benaiah's story, keep this encounter in mind. It's another crucial piece of the puzzle in understanding what made Benaiah truly extraordinary. Now, we've talked about Benaiah's incredible feats of strength and courage, but there's another aspect of his character that's equally impressive: his unwavering loyalty to King David. This loyalty wasn't just about following orders. It was about standing firm in the face of political turmoil and personal risk. Let's set the scene. King David's reign wasn't always smooth sailing. There were power struggles, rebellions, and times when David's own life was in danger. But through it all, Benaiah stood firm as one of David's most trusted men. In 1 Kings 1, we see a prime example of Benaiah's loyalty put to the test. David was old and bedridden, and his son Adonijah decided to make a grab for the throne. This wasn't just family drama. It was a full-blown coup attempt. Many people, even some of David's longtime advisors, sided with Adonijah, except Benaiah. When David declared that Solomon should be the next king, Benaiah didn't hesitate. He stood with David's choice, even though it meant opposing powerful figures and potentially putting his own life at risk. In 1 Kings 1:36-37, we see Benaiah's response to David's decree, "Amen. May the Lord, the God of my lord the king, decree it so. As the Lord was with my lord the king, so may he be with Solomon to make his throne even greater than the throne of my lord King David." This wasn't just lip service. Benaiah backed up his words with action. He played a crucial role in ensuring Solomon's ascension to the throne. protecting him from those who sought to derail God's plan for the kingdom. But Benaiah's loyalty went beyond political maneuvering. He was also one of the mighty men who stood by David during some of his darkest hours. When David was fleeing from his son Absalom, Benaiah was there. When David was hiding in the wilderness, Benaiah was there. This kind of loyalty, steadfast, unwavering, and willing to face danger, is rare. It speaks to a deep-rooted conviction, a belief in something greater than himself. Benaiah's loyalty wasn't just to David the man, but to the calling and anointing that God had placed on David's life. There's a powerful lesson here for us. In a world where loyalty often seems in short supply, Benaiah's example challenges us to stand firm in our commitments, especially when it comes to following God's plan. But here's the question we need to ask. What was the source of this unshakable loyalty? What gave Benaiah the strength to stand firm when others were wavering? As we continue to unravel the secret behind Benaiah's extraordinary life, keep this aspect of his character in mind. It's another crucial piece of the puzzle. We've journeyed through Benaiah's incredible feats, facing lions, giants, and political upheavals. But now, it's time to pull back the curtain and reveal the true source of his strength. Are you ready? The secret behind Benaiah's courage was his unwavering faith in God. You see, Benaiah wasn't just a skilled warrior or a loyal subject. He was a man who understood that his strength came from something, or rather someone, far greater than himself. This wasn't just head knowledge. It was a deep-rooted conviction that shaped every aspect of his life. Let's look at the evidence. In 2 Samuel 23:20, we're told that Benaiah was the son of Jehoiada, a valiant man from Kabzeel. Now, Kabzeel means God gathers. From the very beginning, Benaiah's story is intertwined with God's presence and purpose. But it goes deeper than that. The name Benaiah itself means Yahweh has built up, or Yahweh has established. Every time Benaiah heard his name, it was a reminder of God's power and faithfulness. Can you imagine facing a lion or a giant, knowing that your very identity is rooted in the Creator of the universe? His faith wasn't passive. It was an active, living trust that empowered Benaiah to do the impossible. When he faced the lion in the pit, he wasn't relying on his own strength. He was stepping out in faith, trusting that the God who created that lion was with him. When he confronted the Egyptian giant with just a staff, he wasn't being foolhardy. He was demonstrating a profound understanding of Psalm 18:29. With your help, I can advance against a troop. With my God, I can scale a wall. Benaiah's loyalty to David wasn't just about political allegiance. It was about recognizing and supporting God's anointed king. His actions were a reflection of his trust in God's plan for Israel. Here's the incredible thing. The same source of strength is available to us today. We may not be facing literal lions or giants, but we all have our own battles and challenges. Benaiah's secret reminds us that true courage doesn't come from our own abilities or resources. It comes from a deep, abiding trust in God. Ephesians 6:10 puts it this way, "Finally, be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power." This was Benaiah's secret, and it can be ours too. When we root our identity in God, when we trust in His strength rather than our own, we can face any challenge with courage and confidence. Benaiah's story isn't just about an ancient warrior. It's a powerful reminder for us today that with God, nothing is impossible. His secret is out, and it's a secret that can transform our lives too. Benaiah's story isn't just a thrilling tale from ancient times. It's a treasure trove of wisdom that we can apply to our lives today. So what can we learn from this mighty warrior of faith? First and foremost, Benaiah teaches us the power of courage, rooted in faith. He didn't just rush into danger recklessly. His bravery was founded on a deep trust in God. This reminds us that true courage isn't the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it, knowing that God is with us. Next, Benaiah's life showcases the importance of seizing opportunities. When faced with seemingly impossible situations, be it a lion in a pit or a giant warrior, Benaiah didn't hesitate. He saw these as chances to demonstrate God's power. How often do we miss out on great things because we're too afraid to take that first step? Loyalty is another standout lesson from Benaiah's life. In a world where allegiances often shift with the wind, Benaiah's unwavering commitment to King David is refreshing. It challenges us to stand firm in our commitments, especially when it comes to following God's plan for our lives. Benaiah also teaches us about the power of identity. His very name was a testament to God's faithfulness. This reminds us to root our identity in who God says we are, not in our circumstances or others' opinions. There's also a lesson here about preparation. Benaiah didn't become a mighty warrior overnight. His feats suggest years of training and discipline. This encourages us to be diligent in developing our skills and strengthening our faith, so we're ready when challenges come. Lastly, Benaiah's life is a powerful illustration of how God can use ordinary people to do extraordinary things. Benaiah wasn't superhuman. He was a man who allowed God to work through him in amazing ways. This gives us hope that God can use us too, regardless of our perceived limitations. These lessons from Benaiah's life aren't just ancient wisdom. They're practical truths we can apply today. Whether we're facing our own lions, giants, or seemingly impossible situations, Benaiah's example encourages us to step out in faith, trusting in the God who makes all things possible. As we come to the end of our journey through Benaiah's extraordinary life, it's time to ask ourselves, how can we apply his secret in our own lives today? Benaiah's story isn't just a tale of ancient heroism. It's a timeless blueprint for living a life of courage, faith, and purpose. The secret that made Benaiah unstoppable, his unwavering trust in God, is just as powerful and accessible to us now as it was to him thousands of years ago. In our modern world, we may not face literal lions in pits or giant warriors with spears, but we all have our own challenges that can seem just as daunting. Maybe it's a difficult situation at work, a struggling relationship, or a personal battle that feels overwhelming. Benaiah's example reminds us that with God, we can face these lions and giants in our lives head-on. Think about it. What would change in your life if you approached your challenges with Benaiah-like courage? How would your perspective shift if you truly believed that the God of the universe was on your side? Benaiah's secret invites us to step out of our comfort zones and into a life of faith-fueled adventure. It encourages us to see opportunities where others see obstacles, to stand firm in our convictions when it would be easier to waver. But remember, this isn't about summoning up your own strength or courage. It's about tapping into a power far greater than yourself. It's about allowing God to work through you, just as he worked through Benaiah. So as we close, I challenge you, choose one area in your life where you need Benaiah-like courage. It might be a relationship that needs mending, a dream you've been afraid to pursue, or a truth you need to stand up for. Remember Benaiah, and more importantly, remember the God who gave Benaiah his strength. Let Benaiah's secret become your own. Trust in God, step out in faith, and watch as he turns your ordinary life into an extraordinary adventure. After all, the God of Benaiah is your God too, and with him, nothing is impossible.